This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, there he is. Good morning, Mr. Montreal. How you doing? Good.
What is up?
Okay.
Doing great.
All right.
Doing great.
All right. We got to follow up. We're going to follow up every week on this.
Go for it.
You're not sticking with this, right? If Teddy Bridgewater played, practiced, did everything, they would not miss a beat. He would be playing and he would be in the MVP conversation.
Here's where I'm going to have a big bone to pick with you. I have a friend follower who sent me a clip of what you said last night, and you misquoted me, which is a massive cardinal rule of any form of journalism, and you should know better. I never said the level of performance of the offense would be exactly the same. What I said was that the drop-off probably would not be as significant as you seem to think it is. There's a big difference.
And you still think that?
I still think that the drop-off would not be anywhere near as significant as you seem to think it is. Having said that, Tua is playing lights out. He had two gorgeous throws yesterday that I would rank up there in his top three. And he's put himself in the MVP conversation, even though he might have to fight off some votes from Tyreek Hill as well. But yeah, I do think the offense would.
What did Teddy Bridgewater ever do in his career to ever think that he was anything more than average to mediocre? That's what I want to know. What kind of shrooms you're inhaling? What kind of dope you're smoking? Because I want some of it, by the way. First of all, I mean that's really why I want it, because you're getting high as hell. If you don't think there's a major drop off when Teddy Bridgewater in his entire career has been mediocre to average on his best. This guy couldn't average 2 touchdowns a game, my brother, when he had line and he had a running game and he had receivers, and he's had everything that Tua never had until this year. He's had that.
Here's my question to you. Why do you feel the need? Your love for Tua aside, which is cool, which I respect. Why do you constantly feel the need to dump on Teddy Bridgewater, who has been a serviceable?
It's not a matter of dumping. It's just a fact that he's not that good. He's never been that good. So to even
ever played with any kind of a freak show of an offense with the designs and the speed that he has, and the offensive line, which by the way is performing great. I mean, on a pretty much weekly basis, was absolutely outrageous yesterday. It's just, why is it that only Tua's game would be elevated? Tua's the one, like you said, you kept saying all along, put the right pieces around him, he's going to kick some ass. Why can it not apply to any other quarterback other than Tua? And I'm not saying Teddy Bridgewater is as good as Tua. I'm just saying
that's my point.
It's borderline offensive for you to keep dumping on Teddy Bridgewater like that. Or did I miss the part where Or did I miss the part where he threw for over 300 yards against Minnesota with a shit offensive line that did not have Teron Armstead? Or did I miss the part where he led a really, really good 2-minute drive for a touchdown against Cincinnati after coming into the game cold after Tua was knocked out, and then threw for 193 yards in one half and then the final 5 minutes of the second quarter? Or did I dream that part?
No, I get that. I get he'll flash and have some moments, but I've watched his entire career. He's just a pedestrian. He's always been pedestrian.
He's also never had anything like this. Big O, do you, in all your years of covering the Dolphins,
had a better line in Minnesota and a better running game in Minnesota?
Hold on, let me ask you this. In all your years of covering the Dolphins, okay, remove quarterback from the equation. Have you ever seen anything like what they're doing on offense with all the schemes they're running? I mean, yesterday they ran for almost 200 yards. You tell me they didn't play. First of all, find me anybody on offense who didn't have a great game yesterday. No, that's number one. Number two, they were borderline perfect on offense yesterday, other than false start on Robert Jones, the high snap, and then Cedric Wilson, for some reason, maybe didn't know the rule that he could have just chucked it out of bounds on that double reverse that they wanted to call with the option pass. That's 3 plays out of what is 65. I mean, they were like borderline perfect on offense yesterday.
Yeah,
and Tua is a big part of that. But you want to talk about putting pieces around him? I mean, they have done it.
I get it.
Okay.
And buddy, when he didn't have pieces around him, he still won more than he lost. When he didn't have a coach that supported him, he still threw more touchdowns than interceptions.
They won because of defense last year. Come on. They won because of defense and because they were facing Tyrod Taylor and Mike Lennon and Ian Book and Cam Newton.
And now you're dressing up this offensive thing, and you're saying, oh, yeah, and Tua's playing well. Dude, Tua's the one that stirs the drink here.
I didn't say he played well. I said he's played great.
Where you and I differ,
I said
I look at Tua as an elite passer. You don't. You don't look at Tua as an elite passer. I do. That's the thing. From the get-go, I looked at him as an elite passer.
Right now, absolutely, without question, he's an elite passer right now.
There are maybe 27 quarterbacks in the NFL that cannot do what he does when it comes to accuracy and ball placement on a consistent basis. There's only a couple of guys in the league that can do what he does. Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, Brady. There's very few guys. Nobody in his division. Nobody. Josh Allen is not even close to having the accuracy and ball placement that Tua has. Do you agree with me on that or not?
I agree, but they're apples and oranges. That's not what Josh Allen is as a quarterback. And I will give you this. Hold on. As to your overall point, I think you're grossly exaggerating. I will tell you this. I will give you this. There were 2 throws he made yesterday that very, very few quarterbacks in the NFL make. And they came back to back. The one against the one to Waddle, and then the ones to Sherfield in the end zone.
Let me tell you something. The one he threw to Tyreek, most can't do that either.
Which one?
Most quarterbacks can't actually loft the ball and leave it on the timing play that he threw before Tyreek, even that little floater, that little loaf of bread that he threw.
Where Tyreek's got 5 yards on the guy and just came back to the ball?
5 yards, bro. It was like a 25-yard play, wasn't it?
No, I'm talking about Tyreek had 5 yards on the guy and he just ran back for the ball. Big whoop. I mean, come on. This is where you and I...
See, that's where you and I disagree. Because he threw that before the break.
Nothing extraordinary about that throw. I'm sorry.
See? Well, you weren't impressed when he threw one between 4 guys. So I get it. See, that's where you and I are going to differ.
It wasn't between 4 guys at the time the ball was.
I look at him like Joe Montana. He's that passer. He's that dude. He doesn't have his credits and his stature because he hasn't accomplished shit yet. But as a passer, that's the way I look at him. There's only 2, 3 guys, 4 guys in the league that could do what he does. That's what makes him elite. That's why this offense is humming so well, because he is such an exceptional passer. That's where you and I are going to always differ on this one. He's going to have to win a Super Bowl or 2 before you come on over to my side. It's probably what's going to happen.
No,
after he wins a Super Bowl or 2,
it's not going to take that.
I know. Huh?
It's not going to take that. It's not going to take that.
Oh yeah. the way it sounds, yeah, he's going to need to accomplish something really great, and then you're going to say, no, yeah, this guy's one of the best of all time.
Okay, and I'm still Kyrie Irving or what?
Huh?
Am I still Kyrie Irving? Am I still Kyrie Irving?
What about
Kyrie Irving? You called me Kyrie Irving yesterday.
Well, I did for what? What did I say?
For my refusal to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. On your compare. Yes. Putting Teddy Bridgewater and Tua in the same sentence. You're drinking shrooms, bro. You're drinking shrooms.
Okay, but you also misquoted me when you said there would be no drop off. That's not what I said.
Or little, and please, bro. The drop off would be like if you're falling off a 4,000-foot cliff. This guy sees the game way better than Bridgewater. He throws it way better than Bridgewater. Come on, man.
Good, and hopefully, like I said last week, hopefully we won't have to find out. But the only clear apples to apples comparison is if Bridgewater knows he's starting, has a full week of practice, and can play the full game. Then you can have sort of an apples to apples comparison as opposed to him coming into the middle of the game. Anyway,
all right.
But
so
as I said before, go ahead.
All right. Offensive line.
Yep.
I'm kind of caught in it where they played well. There's no doubt about it. But how much is it that Wilson Jr. also understands the damn blocking scheme? And he, like Mostert was popping runs during Chase's existence. But Chase wasn't doing his job. And so again, you find a player that understands how to play the game at a higher level, sees things differently, knows the offense and the blocking scheme. So they played well up front. But how much is it that Wilson also understands what you're doing? Because he looked so natural yesterday, man. So it's kind of like I think it's a give and take between both, that the player you added and obviously the guys up front did a marvelous job.
No, he's excellent. And I think the people in San Francisco, I reached out to my colleague, my SI Fan Nation colleague in San Francisco, and he was like, that dude can play. And you see it, but the 49ers got enamored with Christian McCaffrey, and you see and Chase Edmonds, I mean, great guy and all that. And when he joined the Dolphins, he was psyched about the scheme. He was like, part of the reason I came here is the scheme. But it didn't work. And I'll be honest with you, I was one of those on the trade deadline day. I was honestly more jacked about the Wilson trade than I was about the Chubb trade.
A lot of people were. A lot of people were like you.
What an upgrade! I mean, holy shit! What an upgrade!
Yeah.
And this was like the one slightly missing element maybe on offense, that you only had like one really dependable running back. Now you got two guys. And interesting, Mike McDaniel said Friday, we're probably going to be even with both guys, but they both understand that if somebody's got the hot hand, we're going with him. We'll look at the snap count from yesterday. I mean, it's like double the snaps for Wilson. I mean, the dude was just balling. Yeah. And then it's not like Mostert was doing anything wrong, but Wilson was completely outrageous.
Well, but what I love also, you know, that touchdown Wilson scores, I was talking about this. Tyreek runs with him all the way to the back of the end zone. I find that really cool that he's celebrating his moment with him. You know, and this wasn't a Tyreek game. This wasn't a 150-yard, 2-touchdown game by him. He had kind of a pedestrian game by his standards, and yet he's in that moment with Wilson celebrating. And I found that to be a really cool thing, that guys are happy for other guys. And when obviously winning is the ultimate, cure for everything. But I think there's a good vibe in that locker room.
Yeah, I think we all know where it comes from, and that's if putting his offensive genius aside, because to me, I'm blown away by the guy and the scheme and the play designs and all that. Besides that, what he's done in terms of getting everybody to buy in and everybody to be like more loosey goosey, major props to the guy. And the sad truth is he may not win Coach of the Year because there's like a lot of really good candidates. I mean, it's tough right now. You can't overlook Kevin Sirianni because the Eagles are undefeated. But that was a crazy team. Brian Dable being 7-2 with a team that I look at that talent and go,
frauds. They're frauds.
They're still
It'll fall apart. It'll fall apart with the Giants as the season goes on.
If he makes the playoffs at 9-8, even at 9-8, if they go 2-6 the rest of the way with that talent. That's a hell of a job. But my point is that Mike McDaniel should belong in any conversation for Coach of the Year, just as 2-1 Tyreek should belong in the conversation for NFL MVP. Although Tyreek might be more likely for like offensive player of the year, and Chris Greer belongs in the conversation for executive or GM of the year, even though I think Howie Roseman's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, but I mean, look at just yesterday. Shell is at right tackle. Robert Jones is at left guard. Bethel is making plays all over the field that you just found. You made the trade for Wilson Jr. You made the trade for Chubb before the game even starts. Okay, here's another slam for you. Teddy Bridgewater is out with a knee. Did you flinch? Normally you would flinch. Oh, shit, the third guy's got to be called up. No, it's Skyler. I feel good. Even in that sense there, as a Dolphins fan, you're not like nervous that Skyler may have to go in or something like that. You're like, all right, the kid can defend himself. He can actually, do a half decent job. So the examples are like all over the place, on a consistent basis. And by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if your ass is working tomorrow because they're bringing in some kickers.
Yeah. It's
the only negative of the game that we have, really, unfortunately.
Well, that and Agba being gone for the year.
Well, yeah, that's just bad news. That's just terrible. God.
Yeah, and he's got the yips, and it's like, and I think I had made that point, is like field goal kickers to me are like almost like goalies in hockey. There are so few that are great every single solitary year, and then you have those that have great year. And Sanders' pattern had always been 2018, he was very good, 19 man. 2020, he was great. 2021, not so much. And then this year is kind of like falling back again. And to me, the worst part, along with the PATs, he hasn't had a field goal made outside of 50. You need those 53, 54-yard field goals every once in a while. So, but here's the point, though. You bring in kickers in November, you're not getting Justin Tucker out here. Let's be honest.
No, I know. And everybody, people, they quickly go to Borregales. That's what they keep mentioning, that he's out there. And talk about the yips. Yeah, he may have the talent, but he's another one that developed the yips. As talented as he was, he did things that Florida State kickers do. And so that's why he's still, a free agent, overall. So that, people were asking me, who do we bring in? And I'm like, that I don't know, bro. I have no idea what the street is like with free agent kickers. I don't know what kind of shape those guys are in. It's at this point, boy, he's been a miracle worker trying to find people, but everybody, that whole staff, obviously, because it can't be only Chris Greer. It's got to be the entire staff. I don't know how you fix that kicker situation, dude. That's
and here's the thing is, if we're going to be honest about it, the likelihood is just as good that Sanders gets it fixed on his own, that you sign somebody off the street who comes in, and then all of a sudden you catch, what's the saying, lightning in a bottle, and you come up with a stud who goes 10 for 10 down the stretch. And then there's also some salary cap ramifications if you cut Sanders. I don't think they're terrible, but because remember, they signed him to a new contract in the 2021 off season after he had that great year in 2020, which, looking back, he was coming off like an amazing season where he was the best kicker in the NFL in 2020. You can't blame them for protecting themselves, but he didn't have quite the length of the resume as Justin Tucker, who's done it, who's been like ridiculous for 10 years.
By the way, let me take a second here. Flip side fishing, because there's and we're blessed to have over 800 people in the chat. So all these comments will disappear quickly, and I won't see it by the time this interview is over. He goes, elite passer. He's accurate, but he's not elite. Sir, he's 71% completion percentage. 71%. That's as elite as it gets, moron. All right, we continue. Anyway, you look at
don't talk to my dad like that.
I mean, give me a break. He's not elite.
He's elite right now.
71%, bro. There's nobody in the NFL making, and he goes Hill. Did you watch Trent Sherfield, dude? Doesn't matter who you are. He's going to put it right where you need it. Doesn't matter the talent that's out there running the routes. He's going to connect with you. If you give the kid space like he has now behind that offensive line, what does he have? Just a sack or two in the last couple of weeks? Like 3 weeks?
He didn't yesterday. I think maybe one against Chicago, maybe.
Right. It's like nothing. He's clean. Yeah. Like that's if you do that with your quarterback, they'll be able to pass. And what he's doing is just absolutely elite at this point in time. That's the way you got to call him. It's 71%, dude. That's a sick ass number. Defensively, what do they do now with Agba? How does that adjust? What do you expect? Who's getting the elevation and get more playing time?
No, I don't know. I think you may be just because Agba. It's weird because Agba's kind of an edge guy, but he's listed as a defensive end. He lines up with his hand on the ground. Do you do more guys standing up and then rotate your guys inside like Wilkins, Sealer, Raekwon Davis, John Jenkins, and maybe this is where you sign maybe an interior guy, and then you do more like clear 3-4. Well, no, but maybe more rotation with more playing time all around with Phillips, Ingram, Chubb, AVG.
Van Ginkel? Maybe Van Ginkel gets a little bit more now, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's one way of doing it.
Yeah, and Chubb looked a lot better this week, having no London legs, and he's here for a week and didn't have to travel. He stayed home for the game and everything, so a little less wear and tear. Where he looked fresher in the game. He still did all right last week, but this past week it looked like it's ramping up. Is kind of like the feeling that I was getting with Chubb, that he was getting a little bit more comfortable in the scheme. Did you see it the same way?
No, I can see that. I mean, he played fewer snaps than he did against Chicago, and he was, to me, I felt him a whole lot more than I did, and I kind of like him coming one side and having Ingram on the other side. That's a nice combo. I thought Wilkins had a really, really good game.
Is Christian Wilkins a Pro Bowler? Is he headed for the Pro Bowl?
I'd have to look at all the DTs and the interior defensive lineman in the AFC.
He's been good, man, this year.
He's been really good. The problem is there's not a whole lot of splash plays. So unless you're like you and I who watch him every week, for people voting around the country who are not necessarily Dolphin fans, and then players and coaches, I don't know that's going to be enough to carry him. But his play has been Pro Bowl level.
Have you been? Were you shocked with how well Justin Bethel's been playing?
Yes and no. I mean, the guy's he's been like a great special teams player, and he's a good athlete. So you combine the two, a little bit, but not a ton. And they may have to have him play a little bit more now if Crossing's going to be out for a while. I don't know the extent of that injury.
Well, now Azukama, this might be the moment where the youngin starts to get a little playing time. He's had a half a season. I don't know if he's mentally ready, if he knows everything yet. But if he's ready, that might be the guy right there that gets a little elevation. You think they might or they did put Braylon Sanders in, and the poor kid got shelved right away after the drop. I felt bad for him. I don't like doing that and giving up on a young guy that quickly. You know what I mean? I kind of feel bad. I'd like for him to get back out there and at least, make him feel good, catch a couple passes, and then put him aside for a little bit. He's got to sit on that one play.
He did catch a pass or two, as I recall.
You did?
For the fumble, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
At least one other catch. It
wasn't, all right, what are you working on? What are you working on alldolphins.com?
Did the snap count observations. I'm finishing up the complete takeaways from the game. Mike McDaniel's speaking to us in a couple of hours. We'll see what he has to say, and then whatever else pops along, and we'll be doing some coverage regardless of the bye week coming up this week.
Kicker question coming today?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, because I don't believe you asked it yesterday, so because it's not the right time to ask, unfortunately. But today's the day you got to ask. Coach, how concerned are you? Because, boy, that face he had last week, like he looked up and like, wait, he missed that shit? Like, he was shocked that he missed that. And then missing 2 extra points, he's got to be uneasy with this guy. We got to get to a point where you have to say you can't trust Jason Sanders right now. That's the sad part.
No, correct. And did that play? Did they go on fourth down? Did they down? I'm trying to remember. I think no, they did go on fourth down. The 3 runs they got stuffed, which I believe was before the missed PATs, and then I think somebody brought up the idea of he's lost confidence in center, that's why he's going for it. No, he's going for it because he likes going for it. And let's not forget that when the Dolphins were trailing 7-0, they had a 4th and 1 from their own 36 on their very first drive, and a hell of a lot of NFL coaches would have punted there because that's what the book says. And McDaniel was like, hell no, I'm going for it. And then first down, score a touchdown, and then there we go.
Yeah. Although I would have given it to Tua is what I would have done on 3rd and 4th downs. I would have rather lived and died with the boy than what they ended up doing. But whatever, it happens. Sometimes the smart guy outsmarts himself. What are you going to do? Nothing's going to be perfect. Couple little things in the game, the kicker, the 4th down call. The high snap by Connor Williams, big deal, or whatever, bro. It's 39-17.
Won by 22, seriously.
I know. They kicked their ass. It didn't matter. All right, what do you got on alldolphins.com again? Tell them.
You just asked me again. The snap count observations, the complete game takeaways, Mike McDaniel's recap of his comments, whatever news pops up, and then more stuff throughout the bye week.
And then follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL and tell him that there will be a major drop-off with Teddy Bridgewater. We'll catch you later on in the week.
Just don't call me Kyrie.
You got it. There you go. All right, Kyrie Poupart with our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report.